Imagine you find a pair of shoes you like for $150. They're great, but way over budget. Then you see another pair for $120. The latter still exceeds your budget, but because of the $150 anchor, it now feels more reasonable. This mental anchor shapes our decisions, often without us even realizing it. You evaluated the new price relative to the first. And this is how anchoring subtly distorts our choices. The anchoring bias is a cognitive shortcut where our brains cling to the first piece of information we encounter, skewing how we interpret all subsequent information. Retailers love it. They'll price an item high, then offer a discount to make you think you're getting a deal. You see a jacket originally priced at $200, now on sale for $120. It's still expensive, but compared to $200, $120 feels like a bargain. The anchor of the original price frames your perception, making the discounted price seem more appealing than it might actually be. It's a cunning tactic, and we fall for it almost every time. But this bias isn't just confined to our shopping habits. It's everywhere. Take courtroom sentencing. Studies show that when judges hear a high sentencing recommendation, they give harsher sentences, even if they don't consciously intend to. That first number plants a seed in their minds, subtly influencing their final judgment. Research shows that judges' final sentences are often swayed by the prosecutor's initial demands, even when they believe they're being objective. This can lead to discrepancies in sentencing, where the same crime receives vastly different penalties depending on the initial anchor. Anchoring has a ripple effect. Once the brain grabs onto a starting point, it's tough to shake free, making objective thinking much harder. The anchoring bias is deeply ingrained. One famous study asked participants to list the last 2 digits of their social security number, then decide how much they'd pay for an item such as a box of chocolates. The participants with higher digits consistently offered to pay more than those with lower ones, even though those 2 digits had nothing to do with the actual value of the product. The mere presence of a random number influenced their decision-making. This is the power of anchoring. Irrelevant numbers or ideas can become the lens through which we view reality. Another explanation for anchoring is called the selective accessibility hypothesis. When we're given an anchor, our brains start priming themselves with related information. If I asked you whether the Mississippi River is longer or shorter than 3,000 miles, you might visualize a map, using that number as a guide. Once the brain starts searching for confirming information, it sticks to that idea. This process helps explain why anchors are so hard to dislodge. We're actively reinforcing them by the way we think. What's fascinating is that mood can also affect how vulnerable we are to anchoring. You'd think being sad would make you more analytical, but studies suggest the opposite. Sadness can actually make us more susceptible to anchoring because it leads us to focus heavily on the anchor, processing information more deeply and, ironically, making it harder to break free from that initial influence. One area where anchoring is particularly dangerous is in time planning. This bias contributes to the infamous planning fallacy, where we underestimate how long something will take or how much it will cost. Once we set an initial timeline or budget, it becomes the anchor, and we resist making adjustments even when it's obvious we need more time or money. This is why construction projects, for example, so often go over budget and past deadlines. The original estimate anchors everyone's thinking, making it difficult to adapt when reality diverges from expectations. Overcoming the anchoring bias isn't easy. It's so deeply embedded in our thinking that even strategies that seem like they should help, like taking extra time to think, can actually backfire by reinforcing the anchor further. However, one proven method to reduce its effects is to actively challenge the anchor. In one study, car appraisers who were asked to generate reasons why an anchor price might be inappropriate were less influenced by the anchor compared to those who didn't question it. By mentally pushing back against the anchor, we can weaken its hold on our decisions. Anchoring can also be mitigated by considering multiple options. This technique is similar to what the military calls red teaming, where a group is tasked with critiquing and challenging battle plans to find flaws and alternatives. By consciously exposing weaknesses in the anchor and exploring other possibilities, we can move closer to objective decision-making. In short, anchoring is one of the most pervasive cognitive biases, subtly shaping how we view the world and make decisions. From courtroom sentences to shopping habits to project timelines, it's easy to become tethered to the first piece of information we encounter. While it's impossible to avoid anchoring completely, recognizing when it's happening and taking steps to question the anchor can help us make more rational, well-informed decisions. By loosening the grip of those initial ideas, we free ourselves to think more clearly and act more wisely. And you can act wisely now by not forgetting to like, share, and subscribe.